Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Pawan Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Okay, so we have been celebrating this month of Kartik. Last week we sang the wonderful prayer of Govardhan Ashtakam. And like we said on Saturday during this session, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill for 7 days and 7 nights. So right now it is still middle of the week and Krishna is still lifting Govardhan. So we'll sing today, this week, the prayer that Devavati Mataji actually recited at the center. So from Ashtakam, we will go to Dashakam. So Ashtakam is 8 stanzas, 8 verses. Dashakam is 10 verses. So this is by Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, our Prayojanacharya, who helps us develop our love of Godhead. So with Abhiday, when we practice bhakti, the process of following the 9 limbs of bhakti, Navadha bhakti, that is the process. And the goal is to develop love so that we can develop pure love, and the Lord reciprocates millions and millions of times more than us, and His love is how much pure it would be for us. So by singing this prayer, we can develop love for Lord through the mercy of His devotees, best of His devotees, Shri Govardhan. So Govardhan Vas Prarthana Dashakam by Shri Raghunath Das Goswami. निजपति भुजदण्ड छत्रभावं प्रपद्य प्रतिहतमददृष्टो दण्डदेवेन्द्रगर्व अतुलपृथुलशैल श्रेणिभूपा प्रियं मे निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वं प्रमदमदनलीला कन्दरे कन्दरे ते रचयति नवयूनोर्द्वन्द्वमस्मिन्नमन्दम् इति कलकलनार्थं लग्नकस्तद्वयोर्मे निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् अनुपममणिवेदी रत्नसिंहासनोर्वी रुहचरदरसानु द्रोणिसङ्घेषु रङ्गै सह बलसखिभिः सङ्खेलयन् स्वप्रियं मे निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् रसनिधि नवयूनो साक्षिणीं दानखेलेर् द्युतिपरिमलविद्धं श्यामवेदिं प्रकश्य रसिकवरकुलानां मोदमास्फालयं मे निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् हरिदयितमपूर्वं राधिकाकुण्डमात्मा प्रियसखमिह कण्ठे नर्मणालिङ्ग्य गुप्तः नवयुवयुगखेलास् तत्र पश्यान् रहो मे निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् स्थलजलथलशस्पैर्भूरुह छायया च प्रतिपदमनुकालं हन्त संवर्धयन् गाः त्रिजगति निजगोत्रं सार्थकं ख्यापयन् मे निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् सुरपतिकृतदीर्घ द्रोहतो गोष्ठरक्षां तव नवगृहरूप शान्तरे कुर्वतैव अघबकरिपुणोच्छेदत्तमानधृतं मे निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् गिरिनृपहरिदास श्रेणिवर्येति नाम मृतमिदमुदीतं श्रीराधिका वक्त्रचन्द्रात् व्रजनवतिलकत्वे क्लिप्तवेदैः स्फुटं मे निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् निजजनयुत राधा कृष्णमैत्रीरसाक्त व्रजनरपशुपक्षी व्रातसौख्यैकदातः अगणितकरुणात्मान् मामुरीकृत्य तान्तम् निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् निरुपधिकरुणेन श्रीशचीनन्दनेन त्वयि कपटिशटोऽपि त्वत्प्रियेणार्पितोऽस्मि इति खलु मम योग्यता मामगृह्णन् निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् रसदशकमस्य शीलगोवर्धनस्य क्षितिधरकुलभर्तुर्य प्रयत्नादधीते ससपदि सुखदेऽस्मिन् वासमासाद्य साक्षात् शुभदयुगलसेवा रत्नमाप्नोति तूर्णम् निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वं निजनिकटनिवासं देहि गोवर्धनत्वम् हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री गोवर्धन वास प्रार्थना दशकम की जय। श्री रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, we'll read the translation. Anybody would like to read the translation? Okay. Meenakshi Moini.
O Govardhan, O king of all incomparable great mountains, O hill that became an umbrella with the arm of your own lord as the handle and then destroyed the pride of the Dev king, madly attacking with raised weapons. Please grant the residence near you that is so dear to me. O Govardhan, please grant to me the residence near you that will guarantee the sight of the youthful divine couple as they enjoy passionate, enormous pastimes in your caves. O Govardhan, O hill where Lord Krishna happily plays with Balram and his friends in the incomparable jeweled courtyards, jeweled lion thrones, trees, waterfalls, mountain brooks, caves, peaks, and valleys. Please grant a residence near you that is so dear to me. O Govardhan, O hill that provides the dark courtyard that witness the Dankeli pastime of the nectar treasure youthful divine couple. O hill that brings great bliss to the best of they who relish the transcendental nectar, please grant to me the residence near you. O Govardhan, O hill that hiding as you playfully embrace the neck of your dear friend, Lord Hari's dear, unprecedented Radhakund, secretly gazes at the pastimes of the youth divine couple. Please grant to me residence near you. O Govardhan, O hill, that by nourishing the cows with its water, grass, and the shade of its tree declares to the three worlds the appropriateness of its own name. Please grant to me residence near you. Govardhan means that which nourishes, Vardhan, the cow, that is go. O Govardhan, O hill, that the enemy of Agha and Baka, honored by transforming into the new house to give Vraja protection from the sustained fury of Sura king, please grant to me residence near you. O Govardhan, O king of mountains, O hill, whose nectar name, the best of Lord Hari's servant, flows from the moon of Sri Radha's mouth. O hill that the Vedas declare to be the tilak marking of Raja, please grant to me residence near you. O Govardhan, O philanthropist, that gives transcendental happiness to Raja's people, animals, and birds, all anointed with the nectar of friendship for Sri Sri Radha Krishna surrounded by their friends. Out of your immeasurable mercy, please accept unhappy me and please grant me residence near you. Although I am a cheater and a criminal, unlimitedly merciful Lord Sachinandan, who is very dear to you, has given to me you. O Govardhan, please do not consider whether I am acceptable or not, but simply grant me residence near you. One who carefully reads these 10 nectar verses describing Srila Govardhan, the king of mountains, will very soon reside near the blissful hill and quickly attain the precious jewel of the service to the handsome divine couple. Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai.
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes, this like Raghunath Goswami is saying here, this in the 10th verse here, that this was Shri Shri Sachinandana, which is Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He told Raghunath Das Goswami, he gave him Govardhan Shala, and he said, worship him, as Krishna. So there's that famous verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita that says, Shila diya Gosai samarpila Govardhane, Gunjamala diya dila Radhika Charane. So he gave Govardhan to Raghunath Das Goswami and said, you worship him as Krishna. And he gave him shelter on the lotus feet of Viraj Govardhan. And the Gunjamala, which is put around Govardhan, is Radhika Rani. So he said, we worship both Krishna and Radha in this form. So like that, Srila Prabhupada has given all of us Krishna in the form of holy name. And he has told us to chant 16 rounds, right? And avoid all offenses, follow the regulative principles. So when you do that, follow the process of our scriptures, follow the process given by our acharyas, then Krishna is always with us, just as Giriraj Govardhan is always with Raghunath Das Goswami. So again, in this week of where Krishna has lifted the Govardhan hill, the mercy is flowing much, much more through all the Brajavasis who are always in constant remembrance, are always chanting Lord's name, as the fruit seller was chanting Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, like that. And we are chanting the Lord's name as Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas have given us. Then Krishna's mercy is there on all of us who are under the shade of Giriraj Govardhan. So we are seeing Prabhupada yesterday has now traveled, and he's giving his mercy to all the different cities in America. That is what his mood is, that he wants to travel and he wants to make sure that all his disciples are staying fixed in their devotional service in their lives and they don't fall down. That is his anxiety. We're talking about anxiety. Anxiety is there, even spiritual world, there's spiritual anxiety, to make sure that all the devotees continue to follow the process. And Prabhupada, as a merciful Guru Acharya, he wants to see that. So, like we are praying to Chintaharan Mahadev, like Mother Yashoda prayed to Chintaharan Mahadev to remove all her anxiety about the naughty Krishna, little Krishna, a little boy. Like that, Prabhupada is also praying to the Lord that he has this anxiety, but he's traveling. As he says, as much of power I have, I will travel and I'll continue to preach. And he's very happy with the sincerity and determination of his disciples, that they're printing 17 volumes in just 2 months, which is incredible work. And his Prabhupada says, all the pictures that they're drawing is like spiritual windows. It's like windows to the spiritual world. They're transcendental paintings that they're doing for all of us. What they did 50 years ago, we are reaping the benefit of that today by reading these wonderful books, by seeing these wonderful pictures that Prabhupada personally oversaw and guided his disciples to create and come up with. So yeah, Prabhupada is now in from Los Angeles to Laguna Beach. I think now he came to San Diego yesterday, and he's teaching devotees how to continue to chant and dance and distribute prasadam and enjoy transcendental bliss. So let's continue. An Indian visitor was explaining to Prabhupada why India had to build up nuclear weapons and armed forces, but Prabhupada disagreed. The reason, he said, was the dearth of genuine Kshatriyas. There were no more men of courage. Therefore, a woman was now in charge. In the newspapers also had been much coverage of a U.S. merchant ship, the Mayaquez, which, when sailing within the 12-mile limit of Cambodia, had been seized without warning. President Ford had taken a strong stand, sending in the U.S. Marines. 15 Marines had been killed and 50 wounded in recovering the vessel, and the U.S. had bombed Cambodia. It was proper, Prabhupada said, for the U.S. to take a strong stand in defending its citizens abroad. Yes, America should be strong, he asserted. But first of all, they should become Krishna conscious. If they are actually a Krishna conscious nation, they should declare, if you touch the hair of one of our men, there will be a fight. Srila Prabhupada spoke strongly, giving the devotees a vision of a powerful America leading the world in Krishna consciousness. And this stirred within them hopes for a pure patriotism, such as in the ancient Vedic culture when the world had been ruled by God conscious leaders. The next morning, before going to the airport, Srila Prabhupada took a walk in Balboa Park. Hearing the sweet swinging of birds, he said they were very happy. They just take the fruits and they are singing in the morning, he said. Rameshwar. But when we tell people that they may take their next birth as an animal or bird, they say that's all right because these creatures are happier than the humans. Prabhupada. But because you are a rascal, you do not know that you can become more happy. Go back home, back to Godhead. That you do not know. Devotees like to bring before Srila Prabhupada all kinds of topics for his comment. Conversations would jump from one thing to another as devotees sometimes brought up horrendous examples of contemporary degradation or sometimes tested their own doubts by posing as agnostics. Or sometimes they would simply bring to Prabhupada's attention ordinary sights and sounds. Whatever the topic, Prabhupada showed the devotees how to see things from the transcendental perspective. And thus, he also showed to them his own purity and humanness. When a devotee told Prabhupada that Balboa was the first man to see the Pacific, Prabhupada at first seemed impressed, but a moment later he scoffed. Everyone was already there. That they do not know. The Pacific and Atlantic Oceans are mentioned in Kalidas Kavi's book Kumara Sambhava. They are all mentioned. Pacific, Atlantic Oceans. These fools do not know anything. They say, I am the first man to come, as if before him there was no man. Just see. Prabhupada complimented the devotees on the previous day's festival in the park and advised them to hold such festivals every day. You are so rich, he said laughingly. You can do it. Continual festival. Tell them, come on, take prasadam, chant Hare Krishna. Just like, what is that? Who told me? Continual massage. Tamal Krishna Goswami. Yes, they have 24-hour massage parlors. 24 hours, Prabhupada said, laughing. Similarly, 24 hours free prasadam. Come on. But they are not hungry. Not for that. While walking to a meadow, they came upon a man standing on his head. Is this our man? Prabhupada asked. The devotees laughed and replied, No, yoga. He wants to be immortal, said Rameshwar. No, said Prabhupada. This keeps them healthy. Tamal Krishna. It's good for the body? Prabhupada. Yes. Shirsasana it is called. Sitting on the head. Shirsasana, Padmasana, Yogasana. There are so many asanas. Tamal Krishna. We don't practice those. Yes, we have no time from sleeping, said Prabhupada sarcastically. The devotees laughed at his cutting remark. Otherwise, Prabhupada continued. This is not bad. This is not bad. It keeps good health. This yoga asana. Hearing Prabhupada's surprising praise of Hatha Yoga, a devotee asked the inevitable, So if we have time, can we do that? By now, they had finished their walk and had arrived back at the cars. Srila Prabhupada chuckled as if aware that he was being baited with a controversial question. Hare Krishna, he said. On getting into the car, he added, Not required. Dallas, July 28, 1975. Swami, why are you here? Asked a reporter at the Dallas Fort Worth airport. This is my home, said Srila Prabhupada. The reply delighted his disciples. I have got so many children, grandchildren, so I have come to see them. Srila Prabhupada had written about Dallas Gurukul in his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Krishna consciousness movement he had written was training a new generation of Vaishnavas in its own school in Dallas, Texas. More than 100 boys and girls were now enrolled, and Srila Prabhupada liked to visit here whenever he toured the United States. Here, as in other ISKCON projects in the US, he involved himself little in the management, but he visited, making himself available to the teachers, who were always ready with questions. Since there was no precedent in the West for Krishna conscious education, and since the devotees wanted to develop the school just as Prabhupada desired, they felt they had to ask him about curriculum, teaching methods, hygiene, recreation, and so on. In the 100-degree weather, the schoolboys wore no shirts, and Srila Prabhupada ran the electric fan in his room. As soon as he arrived in his quarters, he asked that all the children and adults come into his room, and one by one they entered his room, held out a hand, and Prabhupada gave them a large rasagulla. That evening, he sat in a rocking chair on the lawn behind the temple, while devotees fanned him with a large peacock fan, and locusts droned loudly in the trees. He sat there with his disciples amid many thriving tulsi plants, listening to a reading from the Krishna book. This was as much a lesson in how to conduct a Gurukul as were his answers to the teacher's intricate questions. At Gurukul, everything should be based on chanting and hearing about Krishna. Brahmananda Swami was reading about Krishna's rescuing his beloved Rukmini, when suddenly Srila Prabhupada interrupted and said that when they had been escaping on Krishna's chariot and the other princes had been attacking, Rukmini had taken the reins and had driven the chariot. Krishna had then taken his bow and arrows and had defeated his opponents. The devotees were amazed. Many of them were keen students of Krishna book, and nowhere was that particular detail mentioned. Never before had any of them heard of Rukmini's taking the reins, nor had they ever thought of her in that way. But Prabhupada assured them that she had fearlessly driven Krishna's chariot during the fight. While Prabhupada was speaking, Dayananda, the Gurukul headmaster, stretched out his leg to find a more comfortable position, and Prabhupada turned to him and said sternly, "Do not put your feet near Tulsi. She is a pure devotee." When Ramananda read a prayer in the Krishna book describing Krishna as the creator of the material elements, Prabhupada spoke up. "If we do not accept that Krishna made the sky," he challenged, "then who made it?" The blue of the Texas sky was now fading into twilight, and guests and devotees alike looked up at the sky and then back to Prabhupada. According to Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada said, "Krishna made the sky. Bhumi rapo nalo vayu kham mano buddhi evacha." So we should study like this. Aham sarvasya prabhava. The sky is the greatest material thing, but he created it. In this way, study Krishna, not just studying Krishna with the gopis. Then you will misunderstand. But the more you understand Krishna, the more you will become his staunch follower. Unauthorized persons never paint Krishna creating the sky. They always want to see Krishna dancing with the gopis. And in this way, they try to support their own lusty activities. Two Dallas newspapers had covered Prabhupada's arrival. The Dallas Times Herald printed a photo of Srila Prabhupada seated and garlanded with roses, his right hand raised, his index finger extended, instructing Barefoot Swami draws admiring Krishna crowd, the headline read. Aside from claiming that Srila Prabhupada was barefoot, actually he had worn shoes but had removed them when sitting cross-legged. The article pointed out a controversy around the Krishna devotees in Dallas. The article cited ISKCON's injunction against officials of the Dallas Fort Worth airport who had forbidden them to distribute literature and take donations. On hearing the article, Srila Prabhupada had commented, "This is good literature. It should be encouraged. By reading it, people would become sane and they would understand their constitutional position. Otherwise, the people would go on being perturbed by crime and wondering what to do." Srila Prabhupada was particularly interested in the newspaper's version of his reply to the question about Indian politics. The Swami replied that Mrs. Gandhi is inclined to some spiritual understanding, and if she fully develops it, the situation will improve. Democracy is not much beneficial if its leaders have no spiritual values. Mahatma Gandhi was practically a dictator, but he was a man of a high moral character, so people accepted him. Dictatorship can be good provided the dictator is spiritually developed. Srila Prabhupada was repeatedly being asked about Indira Gandhi. The US government was critical of her newly instituted emergency rule, and particularly in Chicago, the reporters had tried to construe Prabhupada's comments about women as criticism of Prime Minister Gandhi. Both in Chicago and Dallas, Srila Prabhupada had stressed that he was not much concerned with politics, although he indicated that politics were useless without Krishna. Eager to keep good relationship with the Indian government, Prabhupada did not like to speak publicly against India's leaders. He had often expressed a desire to meet with the Prime Minister to assure her of the good work the Krishna consciousness movement was doing for the benefit of India and the whole world, and to request her assistance. In India, visas had always been a problem for the devotees. They had to continuously leave the country, and their service to renew their visa and then re-enter at great cost. Now, some devotees, especially in the Mayapur area, were being asked to leave the country because of America's stance against Indira Gandhi's political actions. Recently, Prabhupada had received word from the devotees in Delhi that they were trying to arrange such a meeting. So he liked the favorable statements on Indira Gandhi in the Dallas Times Herald and asked that the article be saved. When walking near White Rock Lake the morning he was to leave for New Orleans, Srila Prabhupada dropped behind the main group of devotees and said to his servant, "I am not feeling well." The few sannyasis close by pressed in near him with concern. "Yesterday also," he added. "It is due to heat, Srila Prabhupada." "Is it due to the heat, Srila Prabhupada?" "I do not know why, but now I am feeling headache and some spasm." "Should we cancel the trip this morning?" Srila Prabhupada didn't answer. He admitted, however, the heat may have weakened his digestion. When asked if the food was to his liking, he replied, "Not very all right. Constantly change of hand is not good." Ramananda Swami suggested that another difficulty for health was the constant flying. But when he again suggested postponing the flight to New Orleans, Srila Prabhupada said, "No, no," and continued forward. July 31st. The weather was stormy en route to New Orleans. Srila Prabhupada in the first class section with Upendra was looking out the window when the fasten your seatbelt announcement came, just 10 minutes before the scheduled landing. Suddenly the plane dropped violently. Passengers screamed and clutched their armrests, bracing themselves. Upendra, frightened, speechless, thought, "If I have to die, it's all right, because Prabhupada is here." The downward plunge stopped abruptly, but then the plane began to lurch and roll, tossed by turbulent air currents. Overhead bins snapped open and the articles fell out, bouncing off passengers and onto the floor. Srila Prabhupada turned to Upendra. "Why is it rocking?" he asked. "It's the storm," replied Upendra. He could see that Srila Prabhupada was calm. His expression was one of irritation, like over some minor incident, as when his lunch would be served late. In wind and downpour, the pilot finally touched the wheels onto the runway, landing without mishap. A sigh rose from the passengers, then cheering and applause. Srila Prabhupada seemed unaffected. He asked Upendra how long a drive it would be to the temple. Srila Prabhupada and his party arrived at the large mansion on Esplanade Boulevard in heavy rain. Nityananda, the New Orleans temple president, having been given 2 weeks' notice of Prabhupada's visit, had hurriedly repainted and readied all the buildings, both here and at the Mississippi farm. Despite a thorough search of the city's markets, however, he had been unable to find any bitter melon, which he had heard Srila Prabhupada took daily for digestion. Therefore, he had arranged for one of Prabhupada's secretaries to bring some from Dallas. Nityananda and the New Orleans devotees felt they were as ready for Prabhupada's visit as they would ever be. A wide marble staircase led up to the entrance, and Prabhupada, leaning on his cane, climbed it slowly as devotees threw flower petals down from the third floor. The entire distance from the car to the house, about 200 feet, was covered with a 3 foot wide white cloth leading up to the Vyasasan. Prabhupada bowed down before the deities of Gauranitai, Shri Radha Radhakanta, and Lord Jagannath, and sat down, but then decided it was too late in the morning to speak. Instead, he went at once to his quarters in the building next door. As soon as Srila Prabhupada reached his room, he was introduced to an official from City Hall who had come from the mayor's office to present him with an honorary welcome to New Orleans. Prabhupada graciously accepted a symbolic key to the city and a scroll welcoming, praising him as an honorable visitor. Seizing the opportunity, he began preaching to the man, treating his guest not as a city official, but as any other conditioned soul. When the welcoming flurry had abated and Srila Prabhupada had bathed, taken prasadam, and rested, he called for Nityananda. When Nityananda entered, Prabhupada had sandalwood pulp on his forehead and wore a fresh garland. Nityananda offered obeisances. Alone in the room with the spiritual master, he felt embarrassed and fearful. Prabhupada picked up a photo album from his desk containing pictures of the farm in Mississippi. "You know," he said, "I have come especially to see your farm." Okay, let's pause here. Let Prabhupada see the farm. Like, like we were reading the prayer, Govardhan was Pratna. Govardhan, Shri Giriraj Govardhan has everything for all the Vrajavasis. It has wonderful forests, wonderful caves, wonderful trees, fruits, flowers, water streams. Like that. So that's like that's why Giriraj Govardhan, like we said, is called grandfather Tat by Shri Rupa Goswami, because he provides, he nourishes. He's Govardhan. Vardhan is nourishment for goes, could be cows. Goes are also gopas and gopis, and goes also is our senses. So Govardhan nourishes all of them. Anyway, so he's called Giriraj Govardhan, the grandfather Giriraj Govardhan by Shri Rupa Goswami. So like that, Prabhupada is also grandfatherly. Like he said, I come, when he came to Dallas, he said, the reporter asked, "Why have you come here?" "I've come to see my children and grandchildren," right? So like that, Prabhupada has also given all of us shelter, like Giriraj Govardhan. So he's our grandfather, like we were saying, our loving grandfather, very merciful grandfather. And like he said, grandfather is more merciful than the father, spiritual father. So like that, he's distributing his mercy to not just his children, but his grandchildren also. We all remember Mother Malti's daughter Saraswati, how she was loved and cared by for Srila Prabhupada in London and wherever she traveled, like that. Now in Gurukul, he's come here to teach all these Gurukul kids, give his love to them. So yeah, that is Prabhupada. And yeah, like I shared that video yesterday in the WhatsApp chat, all members, Prabhupada, like like Lord Shiva. We say Lord Shiva is a pure devotee, topmost Vaishnava. Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu. Like that, Prabhupada is also a topmost devotee of the Lord. And just as Lord Shivji, out of compassion for all the material world, he had no obligation, but out of compassion to eradicate the suffering of the humanity, he drank poison, Vish ka pyala, as Shivji drank. Similarly, Prabhupada here is showing by his example, even though he's not healthy, he's not keeping well, still for the benefit of humanity, for the welfare of all his disciples, and for the welfare of all of the American population, he continues to travel. He's like drinking poison himself, but to give nectar to everybody else around him. So that is the quality of a pure devotee like Lord Shiva, like Srila Prabhupada, all the acharyas. Okay, anything else that anybody would like to share from today's reading? No other thoughts, no other comments? Everybody good? All right, okay, if nothing, then let's pause here. We'll continue again tomorrow. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय जगद्गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय शिला प्रभुपाद लीलामृत की जय श्री गोवर्धन गिरिराज महाराज की जय कार्तिक मास महामहोत्सव की जय नीताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.